What motivated you to want to work at NASCA or with Indigenous kids?
I first came into contact with NASCA as a 14-year-old young person from Gilgandra when I moved over to school in Dubbo at Dubbo College South Campus. And very quickly I, became a student within that program. And for me, it was a life-changing experience. And I've, seen quite clearly the impact that it's had. And I've remained connected with the organisation, post-school and through my career within my capacity as a director on the board. And it's because what we do works. And look, I'm really, proud that we are 100% Indigenous governed and led organisation, and that absolutely sets us apart from other organisations, because I think we know when we listen to our communities, we see and deliver better results. So that's something that I'm really proud of.
You mentioned that you were in NASCA as a young child. Did you ever think that you would be chairperson of the program you were attending in school?
No, and I think that's probably one of the things that I should acknowledge is that apart from there's a lot of things that, a benefit as being part of the NASCA program from a student perspective. And, we are, a non-for-profit organisation connecting young people with culture, improving educational employment outcomes. And we do that through working within the schools, within the classroom setting, as well as developing work-ready and life skills, to access further education and employment opportunities. But when you look at the kind of day-to-day interactions, for me when I was younger, it's the confidence and building exercises with the young people. And I think that if, someone sat me down back then when I was 14, 15 or even 16 and, listed out some of the things that I've been able to do in my career, I probably would have just laughed. But I think, it's through all of the sort of elements of the program that you begin to start to understand your own abilities. And it's worth mentioning, I had a really wonderful program coordinator in Beck Schofield, and she very much challenged my perception of my own ability. And I think through that, and it's something that I most definitely think about, on a weekly basis even now, because I think sometimes we're very quick to sort of underestimate ourselves, and I think particularly so as women. And I think once you're able to decipher between what is, your perception and what is reality, you're able then to sort of, unpack what that opportunity might look like and how you're going to get there. And that can be, incredibly beneficial, not only sort of in the career setting, but any setting of your life, So I'm very grateful to be able to have had that experience at NASCA.
Recently announced you as chairperson. What do you hope to achieve in this position with the NASCA programs?
Yeah, look, I'm very much honoured to be the next chairperson of NASCA. Look, I don't have any plans to do things drastically different to what we've been doing, because we know what we do work. But I do think that when you have something that works as well as the NASCA programs do, it's very worthwhile, elevating those stories and sharing them far and wide, because I think it only encourages more programs for communities. And look, I think we touched on it before, but we know that when we listen to our communities, we see better results, and that's absolutely what we do at NASCA. And I think it is down to the people. It's down to the people that founded the organisation, but it's something that I'm really proud of in terms of our ability to maintain the 100% Indigenous led and governed structure. And that really, I think, is something that I'm absolutely committed to, and I think that we'll continue to see the growth and the success that we've seen in the past.
Are you hoping that more young Indigenous women do kind of step up and aspire to be CEOs or just in leadership positions with NASCA?
Yeah, look, I think particularly so for young women, young Indigenous women, we really, I think, need to kind of look at, again, our perception. I think that we can limit ourselves sometimes, but I think that, when we encourage and talk very openly about some of the challenges, they tend to sort of not be as unfamiliar, and we can kind of start to see how we can move through some of those. And I think that's, very true for young mothers and mothers in general, or caregivers as well. I think that there is this idea that to be successful, you have to kind of, just be really focused and do everything on your own, when really, we can juggle a little bit. And I think that that's probably been one of my biggest learnings, is that, it's not to say it's easy, but it's absolutely possible. And I think as women, when we start to encourage each other and actually share some of those challenging moments and stories with a little bit of vulnerability, we can start to understand how then we can see ourselves in these spaces and roles, which I think is incredibly valuable. In
Western New South Wales, NASCA already has such a big presence. Are you looking to expand that to more communities, smaller communities perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, at the moment, NASCA have 8 young women's academies across Western New South Wales, and currently support over 600 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander young women. And through those programs, we obviously, at the core of that is connecting to culture through workshops and trips and excursions, as well as, in-class based support, and providing those opportunities to, understand what's available post-school. And so, look, we absolutely intend to expand some of those programs where possible. And again, we are always listening to the need of the community, and I think that's the most important thing for us, and I think, again, culture is really at the core of what we do, and we see it time and time again where young people, not just young women, but young people in general, in our communities, when they're strong, when they've got a strong sense of culture and self, we see that social and emotional well-being improve drastically, and obviously that creates flow-on effects, for their education and employment outcomes.
What has the impact been on young people being included in these programs? What has the impact been for them participating in these programs out here, especially in smaller communities?
Yeah, so I mean, it varies. So look, when we're talking about, having access to understand what's available post-school is really, really important. I mean, we're all too familiar, I think, in our communities with the sort of over-promising and under-delivery of services and programs and outcomes, really. And so I think at NASCA, what we deliver really is in line with what community are asking. And so, this is, an organisation that's operated for, the last 25 years, pre the Closing the Gap policy. And so that's the work we'll continue to do, so that our young people can take up these opportunities and reach their full potential. It's quite impressive, I think, that, some of the numbers that are attached to our programming. So in 2022, our New South Wales programs achieved 100% graduation rate, which is incredible. And again, in 2023, 95% graduation rate, which is extraordinary, given, some of the latest stats, or the latest New South Wales stats show the proportion of Indigenous students attaining the HSC was sat at 43%. So we're really confident in our numbers. We're, as I said, we've been operating for the last, 28 years. And in that, supported over 17,000 young people across, 20 sites across New South Wales. And, we also operate in 8 remote communities in the Northern Territory as well. So, we're really pleased and confident in our numbers. And that really comes down to the fact that we listen to the need on the ground from the community and react appropriately.